Hello everyone, Gebatron here. I follow the Hell Let Loose community fairly closely on different platforms like Discord and Reddit, and there are always suggestions from the greater community as to what people want and don't want. So this video is just going to be me talking about the suggestions I see frequently that I do want in Hell Let Loose and why I do want them. Now, I don't expect everyone to agree with me, as these are just my opinions, but please do comment with your own opinions, and let's all remember to keep it civil and positive down there. I also have a video where I talk about the suggestions I do not like, so check that out too. So in no particular order, let's start. 1. Adjustable sights. This one is pretty self-explanatory. It really bothers me that at distances greater than 100 meters, I have to reacquire my targets after every shot because I am forced to cover my targets with my gun. The counterpoint to this usually has to do with pings and how the pings show you distance. The idea here being that this feature makes it too easy to adjust your sights properly and takes the skill out of it. I can't say I disagree with that, but I would think the solution would be to get rid of the distances on pings rather than deny us adjustable sights. Ping should only really draw attention to specific areas and not give detailed information, in my opinion. After a few hours in games like this, you can approximate distance within 50 meters pretty easily, so it's not like people will be lost without this information on pings. And even if we did have both, so what? You'll still have to adjust your shots appropriately based on what distance you're sighted in at versus the actual distance of the target. It's just now you won't have to shoot at the sky to hit a target you can't physically see anymore. It will still take enough skill for there to be a difference between good players and poor players. 2. Select fire. If the weapons modeled in-game had select fire, then they should have select fire. I don't know why we don't have this currently. I could be wrong, but I think they teased this a long time ago in a dev brief, and it doesn't look like we're going to get it, and I just don't understand why. I was really hoping they were going to sneak this in when they introduced the FG42, but it didn't happen. I haven't really seen any good arguments against having this feature. I'm not convinced it would ruin any balance issues. I know some of the weapons that actually had this have low enough fire rates where you can control it if you are careful, like the STG-44 and the bar, but others you simply can't, like the FG-42, Thompson, and MG-34. The MG-34 had a dual trigger mechanism rather than a physical selector, but you get the idea. Anyway, the argument of just tap the mouse doesn't cut it for me, and since we brought up the bar, the MG Rolls bar needs a bipod. 3. A better way to deal with enemy AT mines as infantry. Before Update 8, you were able to destroy AT mines by simply shooting them. This was changed in Update 8 to stop the whole suicide engineer play, where engineers would place their AT mines next to an enemy tank and then shoot them to destroy the tank. I'm glad they did something to stop that, but really wish they would have added some other way to deal with them, as right now the only way to destroy enemy AT mines is to use an explosive of some kind. Whether it's the engineer having the ability to defuse and remove them, or something as simple as just being able to leave a flag so that friendly vehicles can see them, just something other than having to use grenades or other explosives. 4. Better exiting of assets. We've all been there. You're in a truck that comes under fire, so you bail out, and it isn't the enemy that kills you, but rather your own truck that runs you over. This is just annoying, but the worst offenders here are the AT guns. Exiting an AT gun places you in front of the armor shield instead of behind it. Same with the artillery guns. This is something that needs to be fixed. 5. FPS Control. I want to be able to set my max frames per second in the game's settings rather than having to use other software like Rivatuner. This should be standard in all PC games from now until the end of time. 6. XP carryover for officers. The idea here is that once you reach level 10 in an officer role, that you'd be able to allocate your XP or a portion of your XP into a different non-officer role as an incentive to keep good and experienced officers in the officer roles versus playing other roles simply to grind XP to level up. I see this get criticized in a couple different ways. First is that you should have to actually play the roles to level them up. I don't necessarily disagree, but if I am a good and experienced officer, then I probably already have an excellent understanding of all the role's capabilities and how to allocate them in order to complete battlefield tasks. In other words, if I'm an SL, I'm already kind of playing every role in my squad because I have to lead them. The other criticism I've seen is that this won't actually get experienced players to stay in those roles. Well, it would for me. If I was able to allocate my XP into a different role, then I would absolutely play officer roles more often because I enjoy them. But I can't unlock other loadouts if I play it, and I've already maxed out my squad leader and commander roles. So lately I've been playing other roles just to unlock more capabilities, even though my team would probably be better served if I were playing officer. So I think this would help improve the quality of games. I think that a level 10 commander should be able to put XP in any other role. A level 10 squad leader should be able to put XP in any other infantry role, excluding recon. Level 10 tank commanders should be able to put XP in the crewman role, and level 10 spotters should be able to put XP into the sniper role. Speaking of XP, 7. More XP for destroying enemy structures. This one is pretty self-explanatory, maybe not for destroying enemy defensive structures, but definitely for destroying nodes, OPs, and garrisons. OPs, and garrisons especially, are the lifeblood of a team, and destroying one can turn the tide of a battle. The XP rewarded for these actions should reflect that. 8. All vehicles restricted to commander orders. If you've played commander for any length of time, then this has definitely happened to you. You want to spawn a supply truck or some armor or whatever, and you can't because there are 4 transport trucks on the map that aren't being used, and you're hitting your 12 vehicle limit. This sucks, and you don't have any control over it because certain vehicles automatically spawn after a certain amount of time. Now, just to clarify, I don't mind that these vehicles spawn in automatically at the beginning of a match, but I do feel that any and all vehicles spawned after the warm-up period should have to come via commander orders. 9. Accurate diversity. White men were not the only people to fight and contribute to the war efforts during World War II. Women fought in various roles for the Soviet Union, including as snipers, anti-aircraft units, tank drivers, machine gunners, etc. I think it would be nice to introduce a couple female characters for the Soviet recon roles at the very least. Now let's talk about the US. While it is true that the US Army was largely segregated at this time, there were many black soldiers that fought in World War II. Black Americans were among some of the first men on the beaches during the Normandy invasion on both US beaches as part of the 320th Barrage Balloon Battalion, and they did take casualties during the assault. Not only this, but due to anticipated high casualties, black corpsmen from the 320th, which was a segregated unit, were distributed among the landing craft without regard to race. Soldiers like Sergeant Waverly Woodson, who earned a Bronze Star for bravery due to his actions on the beaches in Normandy. A little later in the war, there were some frontline black units as well, such as the 784th and the 761st Tank Battalions fighting on the Western Front. The 92nd Infantry Division was an all-black unit that fought in Italy. Many black soldiers participated in the Battle of the Bulge in various different specialties, including artillery and tank destroyer units. Some of these units even taking up small arms and directly engaging in combat during the battle. The Foy map in Hell Let Loose represents a part of this battle. So there's that stuff, and I'll link to some articles about those units in the description if you're interested in learning more. The decision that kind of threw me for a loop was when Update 8 was released on December 3rd, 2020. This update introduced trucks as well as some other logistics-related content. As such, they titled Update 8 the Red Ball Express. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Red Ball Express was a convoy system that supplied Allied troops fighting in France. 75% of the soldiers comprising the Red Ball Express were black. I honestly thought we were going to get an American black character when they announced the title, and was disappointed when we did not get one. There are games that have representation of specific combat units, such as Postscriptum, where not only are the units accurate to the battles represented, but the equipment available is too. However, Hell Let Loose did not take this more specific route, and took a more all-encompassing route with their historical accuracy in regards to specific units and equipment. For these reasons, I think it would be historically accurate and appropriate to introduce black characters into the US faction. Make sure to check the description for links to articles about Soviet women and black American soldiers in World War II. 10. Better ammo management. I talk about this a little in the What I Don't Want video, but I would just like a little more depth to the way ammo is managed in Hell Let Loose. I like the way that Squad handles it, with you keeping your half-full magazines to use later instead of constantly having full magazines. But honestly, that isn't the part that bothers me the most about Hell Let Loose's ammo system. What bothers me the most about it is how it's fully replenished on a redeploy. I don't claim to have the answer here, but something in between how Squad makes you always have to re-up even after a death, and Hell Let Loose's respawn to get ammo system. There just has to be a better way that's a compromise between the tedious hardcore aspect of Squad and the cheap, unrewarding, and cheesy Hell Let Loose way. Give me your best suggestions in the comments. 11. Locking outfits to maps. This one is definitely a quality of life thing, but it would still be so nice. We've all ran around Foy with our sleeves rolled up at one point, or stormed the beaches of Normandy with our white helmet on by accident. I think it would be nice to be able to assemble the outfits we want to wear on certain maps from the barracks, rather than having to do it from the deployment screen. That way I have on my preferred uniform right away when I load in. I'd still like to be able to adjust this from the deployment screen, but this way I just would never forget to switch my uniform. Not a big deal, but it would definitely make the game feel more polished. So there are 11 things that I want to be added or changed to Hell Let Loose. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know why or why not down in the comments. Just remember to keep things positive and civil, as we are all here because we enjoy Hell Let Loose and want to see it succeed. Don't forget to watch the counter video to this one in the upper left if you haven't already. Please check the description for links to support the channel. I'd appreciate it if you'd do all the things that help the algorithm. Subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you in the next one.